Dyer's Daily. So I have two questions for you, which I will ask in turn. What was the first single that you ever received? And what was the first single that you ever bought? Now, obviously, if you're a certain age, that will be a 7-inch or a 12-inch vinyl single. If you're around my age, it will be CD single. And if you're younger, it may just be a download. It still counts. We're not going to count anybody out here. Let me tell you that the first single that I ever received was Robson and Jerome with What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. And I still have it all this time later, because back in the 90s, Robson and Jerome were massive for about 5 minutes. They had a couple of albums out. And I don't know, there was just something really nostalgic. I mean, as a kid growing up in the 90s, you don't always have the idea that there were previous decades with lots of music. And so you don't realize that these songs here are covers. But let's be honest, it probably wasn't young children like me that were buying those records. They were probably the audience who remember the original versions of such things. To answer the question of the first single I bought, it was about 3 or 4 years later. I had a voucher for Virgin Megastores, if you remember that, and it was the Tweenies with Number One. No particular reason other than I liked the song. Now, I know that there will be lots of people out there who either received or bought their first single. Was it embarrassing when you look back at it? Was it a novelty song that was big for 5 minutes? Was it a band who have since faded that perhaps don't have the greatest reputation looking back at it? What was it that you received or bought back in the day? I would love to know. Obviously, looking at mine, both of mine are completely uncool. But to be honest, as I put on the single the other day, because my son asked for it, I had these memories kind of flooding back. I remember the first time that I heard it and the extra bonus tracks that were on it as well. So that is it for this edition of Dyer's Daily. Do get involved in the conversation. Tweet at JamieDyer89 on Twitter and tell me those two questions. What was the first single you received and the first single that you bought? Have a good day.
Dyer's Daily.